Hi, I'm Benjamin Ang, Head of the Center of Excellence for National Security at RSIS.
Hello, I'm Muhammad Faizal, Research Fellow at the Institute of Defense and Strategic Studies at RSIS.
Today we're going to be talking about the RSIS commentary that we just published, which is Enhancing ASEAN Cooperation Against AI-Powered Cyber Influence Operations.
Yes, this is a very interesting topic, and thank you, Ben, for co-writing this commentary with me. In the first place, I'm actually quite curious. What makes you think that this is a very important topic to write about now?
Well, Faisal, this was sparked my interest because I saw the report by OpenAI, and OpenAI is actually the organization that developed the AI tool called ChatGPT, which a lot of people have been using to help them to write emails, write reports, and it identified that there was a group that was using this for influence operations targeting the 2024 US presidential campaign. So OpenAI and Microsoft cooperated to identify these people who were using their ChatGPT to generate articles and took down the accounts. So these articles were pretty much articles that would have been polarizing and affect the social cohesion of the US population just up ahead before the upcoming US presidential elections.
Well, that is a very interesting point to learn, Ben. You know, as a Singaporean and as a researcher in Singapore NTU, the only thing I have been always concerned about is students and researchers using ChatGPT to make shortcuts when writing essays. So why do you think that ChatGPT can be such a security issue in the US?
If I were to look at it and based on their analysis, the threat actors came from Iran, I would say that this would have made it easier for the Iranian threat actors to generate a lot of articles, stories, which are more in the US kind of tone, the US kind of language, the style, which would look as if it actually came from a US source. That would be tougher to replicate manually if you are in another country, you're not in the space itself, and it's your second language. But using the ChatGPT AI tool, they can actually make it generate stories that look as if they come naturally from US people.
I see, that's very interesting. And I noticed that the threat of Iranians using ChatGPT was unveiled because of some collaboration between OpenAI and Microsoft. I'm just curious, how do you figure that all these tech giants actually becoming so important in the area of security?
Well, they really have a big role because so much of the technology that is being created by these tech giants is dual use. It can be used for civilian purposes and it can be used in something like this, which is like a kind of like gray zone tactic, right? It's not wartime, but it's something that's going to disrupt the enemy, in this case, the Iranian wanting to disrupt the US. And that also then made me think, is there some relevance to us in Southeast Asia? And that's why I came to you because you are the expert on Southeast Asia.
Oh, well, definitely. Because, I mean, when we look at this, the use of AI tools for cyber influence operations between Iran and the US, I think this is something which is being watched closely in Asia and Southeast Asia in particular. We know that in the last few years, say the last 5 to 6 years, a number of defense agencies or armed forces in Southeast Asia have been building up capabilities and units in their respective armed forces to have a specific role in the digital or cyber warfare. I mean, we have the Digital Intelligence Service in Singapore, we have the Defense Cyber and Electromagnetic Division in Malaysia, and others too. So I think it is quite clear that in terms of the use of AI for cyber warfare, this is actually becoming more relevant in this region, and the armed forces of this region are watching it because it is actually very relevant to their national defense and security as well as the wider regional security.
I see. So it's possible that somebody could use an AI tool like ChatGPT to do an info op on another country in the region, and even to use maybe the language capacities of the ChatGPT.
I'm pretty sure of it because if we want to conduct cyber influence operation or info ops in Southeast Asia, we need to bear in mind that Southeast Asia is a very diverse region where there are many ethnic groups and many languages. Singapore is probably one of the outlier case where English is the predominant language. But if you look at the other countries here in Southeast Asia, if you want to conduct influence operation, you can't just use English. You may need to use Tagalog, you may need to use Bahasa Indonesia, you may need to use Thai language, Khmer language, for instance. And I believe the capabilities of ChatGPT can be helpful in translating certain malicious narrative from, say, English to one of the more local languages in this region.
So now that I think about it, tools like not just ChatGPT but all the other generative AI tools can really make it much easier, so to speak, for a threat actor to carry out something like this, or maybe not even a state actor, maybe.
Yes, definitely. I mean, if you look at the area of cyber warfare or digital warfare, not all the actors are actually state linked. Some of them are actually nationalistic actors, or the kind where you actually pay for their service, among others. I mean, there are various motivations, be it profit or political, but they can do it. They are all actually acting as proxies. But I would say that the other thing that would be very interesting is that how this cyber influence operation using AI is happening between the major powers, between US and Iran, between China and US. If that happens, it will shape their domestic politics and their foreign and defense policy. So if influence operation do have that kind of impact, I think it will be of interest to governments and defense agencies in Southeast Asia, because they may need to adjust their foreign policy or defense posture given the changes in such landscape.
Wow, I'm going to ask you about those changes that are going to be needed. But first, something that you said earlier on is that things that are happening globally are also relevant to us, right? And I do realize from our research that things happening in other parts of the world, like the Israel-Hamas conflict and also the Russia-Ukraine war, is affecting our populations as well. Our societies somewhat can be polarized, or even between countries in ASEAN, there's different views.
Definitely. I mean, in Southeast Asia, we used to be quite concerned about Ukraine to some extent, but I would say that currently the most hot issue that the hottest foreign issue that is of interest to Southeast Asia is perhaps the Gaza crisis, the Gaza war between Hamas and Israel, where both the Israeli and the Hamas side are known to use information operations, including the use of digital means to put up deceptive content, and such content actually have the impact of shaping the views of people in Southeast Asia. And when people in Southeast Asia are swayed by certain views, they do have certain expectations on what their political leaders, their national leaders should do and should say in terms of foreign policy. So that actually affects foreign policy, and it actually boils down to one key driver: how online narratives are shaped in a very persuasive, or some say deceptive way, using online tools, including AI.
If that's the case, then clearly some changes are going to be needed in how we are dealing with this, right? Because it's not just direct concerns about neighbors, but also concerns about what's happening elsewhere in the world. and how it's going to affect our populations, whether it's going to create some unrest if they feel very emotional about some faked information that they're seeing. Yeah.
Definitely. I would say that the unrest can be caused by AI generated narratives that actually challenges certain domestic viewpoints on certain domestic issues, or it can even be AI generated narratives that actually raises the sentiments or anger about certain foreign issues which domestic population is concerned about. So I think this is definitely one area where AI is both relevant for foreign and defense policy besides domestic policies.
And I can see that the use of AI, which has great benefits for efficiency and speed, means that also on the dark side of it, the info ops can be carried out with more efficiency and speed and reach more people. So, what can the ASEAN member states do?
Well, at the national level, I think ASEAN member states, especially those which are more digitally mature, are trying to see whether they can enact certain legislations to address this problem about online malicious narratives, including those used by AI. But that also depends on the national context and the trust between the government and the people. But at the regional level, especially among the defense sectoral in ASEAN, I think the government agencies, especially the defense agencies, can have better knowledge sharing about the risk of AI in the cyberspace, and they can use some of the existing ASEAN-led initiatives, such as the ADMM Cybersecurity and Information Center of Excellence, or ACICE. You can also use the Malaysian equivalent, which is the ASEAN Defence Cyber Network. These are some initiatives that can be used as a platform for ASEAN defence institutions to discuss the risk of AI in cyber warfare.
That's interesting because this is like the defense parallel of what the UN Open-Ended Working Group and the ASEAN efforts towards confidence building measures, which is having more communication between the different member states so that they have built up better trust and better confidence in one another, so that if something happens, you can actually contact your neighbor and say, make sure that it doesn't escalate, make sure that you avoid misunderstandings. So do you think that ACICE can be helpful on the defense side of that?
Definitely. I believe what ACICE and its activities can do is that they can actually provide the platform for representatives from the defense agencies in Southeast Asia to come together on a periodic or regular basis to talk about these issues. And when they talk about these issues, they can actually gain a better understanding about the risk of AI. But more importantly, they can actually socialize with each other and have better trust with each other in this particular area. I believe that with such better trust and more confidence among each other, it will be easier when something happens seriously in our Southeast Asia region, and defense representatives or defense officials need to make use of ASEAN hotlines, such as the ASEAN direct communication infrastructure, to contact each other to talk about crisis and de-escalate crisis. And I'm pretty sure such channels may have to be used one day due to crisis that is caused by cyber warfare, especially the cyber warfare that is powered by AI.
Yeah, especially for cyber attacks or info ops, where you often can't really tell where it's from, because the attacker will mask their true origin, or they will launch the attack from another country's territory. And I'm imagining right now there's like that red phone that you pick up and you call your neighboring countries, hey, I just saw an info op coming from your country, but it's not you, right?
Definitely. And I think before that such a red phone can be used in the first place, I believe the platforms and the dialogues that is being facilitated by regional initiatives like ACICE and even the Malaysian one, ACDN, can actually encourage people to actually pick up this phone.
Yeah. So things like the Digital Defense Symposium which the second edition of it just completed this year. It's something useful where the DDS allows the senior defense officials to get together and talk about things like this.
Definitely, because in my view, the Digital Defense Symposium, or DDS, is not only a forum for defense officials and various experts to come together to learn from each other on digital security matters or digital defense matters, but it is also, I would say, an ASEAN-led regional or multilateral platform to build trust and build confidence among the various defense forces in Southeast Asia and the wider Asia Pacific, specifically in the area of the digital domain, which is quite similar to other platforms that used to build confidence and trust in, say, the land, sea, and air domains.
Thanks a lot, Faisal. Now I think I have a bit more confidence in what can be done. So thanks for coming over today to record this.
Thank you, Ben. It's a pleasure to be here.